welcome to a quick bonus episode of Connecting the Dollars. Today, Amanda and I are going to go through a pay stub, and this may not look like yours, it may look similar, they can run the gamut. But we just want to go over a couple things because we're more than halfway through the year. It's a great time to double check your pay stub, make sure everything is in order with your employer to avoid any problems come tax time. So, Amanda, go ahead and start with the basics on here.
Yeah, so I think the basics are first, back in the day when you got an actual check, this pay stub would be attached. And now most people get paid via direct deposit. And I would say, first of all, find your pay stub. Some people have never logged in to their employer's portal to check it. So, that's step one. And then once you're logged in, you should be able to locate your pay stub. It depends on your employer, right? How it's set up, and there's different payroll providers. But if you're not able to pay your pay stub for any reason, this is where HR can step in and should be able to help you. And then just basics, check your name and check your social security number. You would think that this would be something that would just be automatically correct, but from experience, we've learned it's not. We've seen people have pay stubs filed under the wrong social security number. This is going to impact you when you go to file your taxes. It's going to impact your social security later. And it's just a big hassle to try to fix. So just double checking that from the get-go can really save you a hassle down the line. And then same thing with the address, right? Emily, your address should be up to date. If you move, you need to inform your employer, especially if you move to a new state, because this can create state tax issues with your local state government, right? We've seen this happen too, unfortunately. It can be a big headache if your address is wrong. Right.
Yeah. If your employer is reporting wages to the wrong state, then that state is not going to know that you moved. So it could be a big mess. It's fixable, but it's better to just avoid it up front if you can.
Yeah. What's next,
I
Emily?
want to make sure you check the pay periods. A lot of people are paid semi-monthly, which is like the 15th and the 31st, two times a month. But there's also semi-weekly where you're paid every other Friday. So like you have your gross pay, and a semi-weekly year has 26 pay periods per month per year. Bi-monthly has 24 periods per year. So it's not a minor thing, but it is a little nitpicky thing. You could over or underestimate your salary if you're missing potentially two pay periods. Let me jump into the note section. This is just a sample template that we found, but if you do have a note section, be sure to read it carefully. There could be information about reimbursements, like maybe you need to submit certain receipts to get, I don't know, a reimbursed mileage or whatnot, things you may be overlooking. So make sure you just read through those thoroughly, and if you have any questions, to double check with your HR department. Okay, now jumping down to some of the numbers. This is a pretty straightforward pay stub. There's the gross pay for the current pay period and then the year to date. So just do some quick mental math, make sure that lines up with what you think you should be paying. Amanda said she has a quick story about someone who had
Oh,
their
yeah. I
pay
had a
incorrect.
client once who was very excited about a raise they had received at work. And it was several months into the year. And we looked at the pay stub, and the raise was not reflected in the pay. So, that is disappointing to see. But, at the end of the day, these are humans entering this data, right? For now, AI hasn't taken over payroll systems, but they're entering the updated information. And if somebody mistypes a number or doesn't get the memo, these things fall through the cracks, and you should be getting paid if the
Yeah.
employer tells you they're paying you this number. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if we take a quick look at the taxes section, we've got a lot to say about this. So the tax amount is not just some number determined by the wind. It seems like it is because when you fill out this W-4, there's all these questions, and sometimes it does pertain to you, sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to know what to skip and where to put a zero. It's a big mess, and the IRS updated the forms in 2020 trying to make them more accurate, but it really just confused people more. So we can't really rely on those to be specific for you. That's where tax planning is the most important. But just doing kind of a quick look here, this 2838 is pretty close to, it's like 40% of the gross pay for the current pay period of 72.91. So it's okay, that's a little high, but maybe that is accurate. If you in your head think about, okay, last tax season, did I owe money or did I get a refund? And if you haven't made any changes to the tax withholding, you're probably going to be in the exact same position as you were the prior year. So especially if you owed, you want to make sure that you can go over that W-4, talk to your tax planner, and get them to help you adjust that W-4 so that the number will increase if you owed or decrease if you had a refund. There's a couple other things that fall into the taxes, like the deductions that we'll get to, but that's the first level. Just compare it to last year's tax return and see if you're on par with the tax you owed for the previous year. Let's see. Amanda, do you want to jump down to the deduction section?
Yeah. So multiple things are taken out of your paycheck aside from the taxes that you owe to the federal and possibly a state government if they have a state income tax. But one of them is the payroll taxes, which include the Social Security and Medicare tax. So you can see it's the first deduction listed there is Social Security tax. So that's everybody pays in to Social Security if they have earned income up to, do you know the number off the top of your head? It changes every year.
It's about 184 this year,
184. Okay,
something like that.
my brain has to catch up with inflation from 2 years ago. This example here, the person is on track to not hit that number, but if you're a high earner and you say you make 250 a year, if it gets later in the year, they'll stop taking Social Security tax out of your paycheck because you've hit that threshold.
Yeah.
So in this example, they're still taking it out, but we do have clients who later in the year their paycheck gets bigger, and we always urge people if they have that extra income, decide where you're going to put it in advance and have a plan in place so that once it hits your bank account, you're not like
Yeah.
whoopee and blowing it on stuff that you don't
And
need.
don't get too used to that because come January 1st, it's going to reset and you'll be having that Social Security taken out of your paycheck again. So
Yeah.
it's like a little bonus at the end of the year if you meet that threshold.
Yeah.
All right. And then sorry, just really quick, this particular paycheck or pay stub, there's a pre-tax deduction and post-tax deduction section above where the gross pay is, but it's not filled in. And this is very common. We see taxes and deductions kind of just lumped together and it's difficult to parse out where they're actually supposed to go. In this example, the 401k and the medical deductions are pre-tax deductions. And so when you're using this pay stub to calculate what your taxes will be at the end of the year, you actually need to take out those pre-tax deductions from your gross pay to get an accurate number. So you wouldn't know based on this pay stub that that's something you have to do. It's very unclear.
Yeah. I would just clarify because I think sometimes these terms can be confusing for people. It's
Yes.
just the 401k in this example is called pre-tax because you don't owe income tax on that number. So you made the money through your job, it goes to your 401k, you don't pay tax on it now. It's tax deferred. So you pay tax on it at some point in the future when you withdraw from your 401k. So it is income you earned, but it's not income that's going to show up on your paycheck.
Exactly. And there are other medical, vision, dental benefits from your employer that are pre-tax, but there might be some that are also post-tax. Like if you choose to add additional life insurance, post-tax would mean that you are recognizing the income now and you're just paying that premium through your employer, basically. The benefit is that they have a plan available for you to use, but you're not getting any pre-tax benefit from that.
Yeah. Pre-tax benefits can be very powerful. I know I'm in New York City. You can get a commuter benefit where you don't have to pay tax on your well, they've retired the Metro card, but your subway fare. So depending on your state or locality, you might have other benefits listed there too.
Yes, that was a great benefit I had in Chicago here, for several years. What else? What else? So yeah, as you can see, your pay stub is definitely not going to look the same as this one. There may be a whole section that says employee versus employer. It could look incredibly different. So It's really important to understand what your pay stub is telling you, and if you need help to walk through it with someone, contact us.
Yeah.
We can help
Yeah.
you.
I would say, Emily, do you generally recommend people double check their 401k deposits are making their way to their 401k balance?
Yeah,
I think,
I think that's not a bad idea. I mean,
yeah.
definitely
It should
better
be
to do an
automatic.
audit.
I was talking to somebody recently who didn't realize that this was something the employer is responsible for behind the scenes, making
Mhm.
sure these funds get into your 401k plan. I think established employers, this is not necessarily an issue, but unfortunately, there are some small business owners who let these kind of things fall through the cracks. I mean, this is an illegal thing that shouldn't be happening, but unfortunately, it is a thing
Yep.
that happens. So that's the kind of thing where you just want to look out for yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Your
So
pay stub says you put 729 from your paycheck into that account, but then you look at your 401k account and you're like, where's my deposit? So
yeah, these are questions you can ask and should ask if something looks wrong. So
absolutely. So if you need help deciphering, like I said, reach out to us, propelfinancialadvisors.com. You can schedule a meeting with us there. You can also find more of our content on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Propel Financial Advisors on all of those platforms, I believe. What do you have? What are our final words?
I would just say if anybody's ever had a problem with their pay stub, I don't know, I find these stories kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Because it gives you a
Yeah.
lot of information, but it doesn't, at the same time, it doesn't give you a lot
Yeah.
of information. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, I know. I think people they just see like a field of numbers and they kind of go blank sometimes, which I get. But it's good to understand these things and understand what's happening because you earn this money. Let's understand what's happening to it.
Yeah, and fix any problems before they potentially occur. All right. Well, we hope you enjoy this deep dive into pay stubs. It's like we said, we like it, and hopefully it helped. So thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, bye, Emily.